Hey boys, what's up? We're back with another Fan Hub edition here, and we're up to the Sydney Roosters, so let's get this underway, shall we? And yeah, let's go to the lineup. So we got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who unfortunately for the Roosters won't be there next year. Warriors signed him, which is a massive signing for them. I mean, they lose Sam Tompkins and they get Tuivasa-Sheck. I'd say that's a pretty big win for the Warriors. You know, Tompkins obviously didn't show his full potential, I think, but Tuivasa-Sheck is gonna be like, I nearly rate him the best fullback in the game at the moment. Like, he's just an amazing player. So in a couple of years, he's gonna be on top, in my opinion. But at a 90, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, compared to some of the others, I mean, I know Michael Gordon was on like 90 and a couple others were a bit high, but Tuivasa-Sheck I probably think he should be a bit higher, but I still don't have him on the same. I probably wouldn't put him quite as good as like Inglis and Slater at the time. I think he can do some freakish things, but just some minor things he'll improve on when he gets more familiar at fullback, and he'll probably surpass those guys, but at the moment he's probably a touch behind them in terms of number one fullback, so I'd have him about 90, maybe a bit higher. But yeah, then we got Daniel Tupou. 75 is really low, honestly. Like, you know, they used to compare Tupou to Folau, and I think that was a bit it was a bit early to say that, and I don't think Tupou is ever going to be quite an Israel Folau, but 75, that's ridiculously low. I mean, he's played for Australia, he's played for New South Wales. Yeah, like, this is a weird stat. I mean, he has some games where he's a little bit below, but I mean, every game he's always a great asset on the wing. I mean, he always takes a lot of big hit ups deep inside their end, like a forward. Him under the high ball is pretty good. I mean, you got to kick it out to him, and there's going to be a pretty good chance he's going to come up with a try. And yeah, he's just a dangerous player, so he should be like high 80s in my opinion. I mean, he's an Australian player. I mean, I know he got dropped for last game, but he's played for Australia, for goodness sake. But anyway, we'll move on to Michael Jennings, who was white in this picture. Obviously, I don't know. But 86, I would say that's a touch low as well. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Jennings as a person, but as a player, like, he's exciting to watch. I mean, in that Australian-New Zealand game, he was pretty much the only backline. He was pretty much the only person in the backs that actually looked dangerous. And he's like that every game. He's so quick. And it's not... There's probably a lot of players who are actually faster, like over 100 meters, but I doubt many players are as fast as him, like changing direction and acceleration wise. Like, his acceleration is unbelievable. Like, he steps and he just takes off. Like, there's no warm-up time. There's no warming into it. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, 86 is a bit low in my opinion. He should be... I'd have him like probably about 90. I'd say he's one of the best centers in the game, easy. Then we've got Blake Ferguson, 80. You know, another guy I do not like as a... Like, I know I said I don't like Michael Jennings as a person that much. He's not too bad. He's grown on me a bit, but Blake Ferguson, no, he's a total asshole. I was annoyed that Roosters signed him. I just wanted him to get out of rugby league, honestly. I mean, I know they always talk about they want to keep the good players here and this and that, but there's heaps of young fellas that can be just as good as Ferguson. I think he's a shit bloke, but 80, I mean, in saying all that, he is a good player. If we were taking his form of like the last, like when he played Origin and stuff, you'd probably have him a lot higher, but I guess for the Roosters, he hasn't been that good. He's had a few injuries, but the games he has played, I haven't been that impressed, honestly. But I still think that's a touch low. I'd have him about I'd have him mid-80s still. I mean, he's a good player. He's obviously he's a good player, but probably a touch low. Then we have Sean Kenny Dow, who, you know, is probably a touch underrated. Actually, I don't know. He's not really underrated because, I mean, he always gets picked for New Zealand, so there's not really much more they can do, but he was easily one of their best in the game they beat us in, so I feel like this is about right, though. I mean, he has those good games, but overall, I don't think he's one of the best backs in the game, so yeah, mid-80s is probably about right for Kenny Dow. He has some games where he's just sort of unstoppable, but consistently, I wouldn't rate him as one of the best. Then we have James Maloney, 82. I think that's about right, honestly. I think James Maloney is fairly overrated. He's a good goal kicker. He's a pretty good kicker in general, honestly. I mean, his kicking game is pretty spot on. But just, I don't know. Just his overall game isn't that impressive. I think his defense is pretty poor. And he doesn't really set up that many tries with passing. Like, he sets up a lot of tries with kicks, which is good. I mean, you need players to set up tries with kicks, but he doesn't really threaten the line much when he's running it or passing it. So 82 is probably fair. Then we have Mitchell Pearce with 83, and I don't know. I feel a bit like I'm not a New South Wales, but I'm not New South Wales. I'm Queenslander, but I actually feel a bit sorry for Mitchell Pearce. I mean, I feel like he's New South Wales' best halfback easily. Like, I don't think there's any competition for New South Wales halfback. I mean, Hodkinson got the job over Pearce last series at the end of it, and I mean, I know they like to keep combinations, but Mitchell Pearce is a far superior player than Trent Hodkinson. I think 83 is way too low. I mean, I'm not gonna... Obviously, Pearce isn't on the level of Cronk, but I think he gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes. Like, kicking game is good. His defense is actually surprisingly really good, and when he runs the ball, he's very dangerous. He's got a good passing game, you know. I mean, yeah, some games he seems to lose control a bit, and I don't know if it's just getting panicky or what it is, but yeah, some games he can't really take control like someone like a Cronk. But I think this is too low. He should be high 80s. Then we got Jared Hurry-Hargraves, who I don't like at all. Yeah, I'm just looking at this Roosters team, and honestly, the Roosters team in general, I don't like the Roosters at all, but I do really like watching them play, because the way they play is really aggressive, and they like to attack, and so I like watching them, but I don't like their team very much. And Hargraves is such an art. I can't stand him. I can't stand Hargraves, but I mean, it was just reiterated by the fact when the Broncos played them this year. Thaiday was just smashing him every run, and old Hargraves didn't know how to handle it, but other than being like a dog and doing late shots and shit. So that's what Hargraves is. But as a front rower, he's pretty decent. Like, I watch him play, and I mean, he makes a lot of ground. He's aggressive, but yeah, I think when someone takes it to him, he can't handle it, honestly. He likes dishing it out, but he's one of those guys that can't really take it very well. So I'm going to say 80's about right for him. Then we have Jake Friend with a 90. I agree with this, honestly. I think Jake Friend is an amazing dummy half. Like, he was sort of a bit unknown a couple of years ago, and then he just sort of burst onto the scene, and I feel like the Roosters obviously have a very good forward pack, which helps him, but overall, Friend he's definitely the successor to Cameron Smith when Smith eventually retires. And that's great for us Queenslanders, because, yeah, his defense is outstanding, very aggressive, and his his attack, like he does produce a lot. And he's a good kicker. You need a good kicker out of dummy half. He's got pretty much the whole playbook. And yeah, I'd say 90 is pretty fair. Then we have Sam Moa, 77. I don't know, I feel like that's a bit low. I feel like Sam Moa is probably better than Hargraves. I'd probably just switch these two around. Or just have Moa touch ahead of Hargraves, honestly. I think Moa's a pretty good front rower. Then we have Boyd Cordner, 78. And yeah, that's probably about right. Maybe a touch low. I think Corden is pretty good. I mean, he's another one that's played for New South Wales. He played for Australia, which, I mean, I don't think he should have played for Australia, but he did. So I think 78's a bit low, even though I don't think he's all that amazing. Then we got Aiden Guerra, who I actually rate really highly. It's probably, I mean, I'm pretty biased, but you know, I mean, the Roosters last game, they smashed the Tigers. They look so much better with like Guerra in the side. He's just, you know, he creates a lot. He's got a good passing game to the line. He's like really hard to tackle. He gets a lot of offloads away. He's pretty quick. He's quick for a big guy. And his defense is really good. I feel like this should be higher. I'd have him like mid to high 80s, honestly. I just really like Guerra. Really good player. Then we have Isaac Liu, 74. And I feel like this is a touch low, but in saying that, he's a good player, but I wouldn't, in my team, I wouldn't have him starting. I don't know, I find lock a weird position for Liu. He looks more of a front rower to me. He's more of a barging type forward. He's not really he's not like a usual back lock who's like a tackling machine and maybe a bit of a ball player. I don't know, he's more of a prop in my opinion, and I'd have him a touch higher, but maybe not too much higher. Then we have Mitchell Orbison, 79, and he's, you know, probably Orbison's a bit unlucky because he can play so many different positions that he hasn't like cemented a certain spot in any team, but whenever they need him and he plays in that position, he's like one of the best on the field. And it's a bit unlucky for him. Like sometimes being so versatile is like a bad thing because you never get to play one position. You're always sort of the makeshift center 5'8" lock. But yeah, Mitchell Orbison, actually a really good player, but I would have him probably a bit higher because he's so versatile. I would have him about 80. Well, probably like mid 80s. I wouldn't have him much higher, but mid 80s probably. Then we have Kane Evans, who, yeah, 68. I don't know. It's obviously pretty low, 68. I think that's too low. I mean, he played for, I don't know, he played for City or Country, I forget which one, but he's a good young forward. He's big. I mean, the Roosters have so many big fellas, it's crazy, but yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Like, he's got a lot of potential. I mean, just being the size he is, but you know, he does the odd big run, but I don't know if his defense is that amazing. So I'd have him like 70, mid 70s, but yeah, he'll probably grow into a pretty good front rower. Then we have Dylan Napa, 78. I'm surprised this is that high, but he has got a lot of talent and a lot of potential. I wouldn't have him any higher than this because I've yet to see him really do a game where he stands out. Like, he does start on the bench, he's never really started a game, but I've never seen him like dominate. Like, he does the odd big run and the odd big hit, but you don't watch a game the Roosters play and it's like Dylan Napa is like the forward leader and the guy that's changing the game for Roosters or winning the game for Roosters. So yeah, he'll probably grow into that role, but at the moment he's sort of like a wrecking ball when he comes on, so 78 is probably pretty good. Then we got old Take Aho. I think I pronounced that pretty good. But yeah, okay, so this guy, this is way too low. I've seen a couple of games and I've been really impressed. And the last game he played against the Tigers just, yeah, reiterated that he's an extremely good player. They've got his positions as second row center and wing, which is a little weird. He doesn't look like a winger. He's a big fella. But he has got some pretty good. I think that speed's a little high, 79. He's a bit. Yeah, I think that's a bit high, but he is pretty quick and he's got good footwork. He's got good passing. But yeah, he's just a big fella. He's hard to stop. I mean, I watched that game and he was sort of dominating the Tigers. Like, that was pretty impressive. But yeah, that's the Roosters done and dusted. I was actually thinking, who was... They got Lagi Setu? That's weird. I don't know if Lagi Setu is playing for them. But I was trying to think who was playing for Blake Ashford, but it doesn't really matter. But that's the Roosters. Let's look at the jerseys. Here we go. Home, alternate. All pretty stock standard. But yeah, that's the Roosters done and dusted. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.